I'm talking about our issues that we continue to project onto Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color, which
Glad to have you amazing viewers. Another exciting time at Comfort for Life Network, where we bring to you a collection of TikTok videos for educational purposes. Do me a favor and like the video. Let's dive into this. I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, where this lady went on to ask a question. Why are people opposing the idea of paying reparation to African Americans? She went on to say that there has never been a proper apology after the whole slavery thing that had happened to African Americans, and that even today they are still suffering from the unfair system that was set up to oppress them. And these oppressive systems are set up there as still a major contributor to their advancement. I will let you listen to her entire thoughts, and then we'll go on to listen to the few stitches that was done in response to this.
I just ran across the speech, whatever you'd like to call it, of Rob Schneider's, SNL, Deuce Bigelow actor. Someone I find very funny. I found funny. But he was having the speech, and this excerpt of his speech says that it's almost, I'm going to surmise it and say that it's ridiculous that a group of people who never owned slaves has to pay reparations to people who were never slaves. And I always wonder why it is that the only time you'll ever hear people balk at paying a group of oppressed group of people, or a group of people that have been wronged throughout history, the only time you'll ever hear people fight back is when it comes to Black people and paying them reparations. Why is that? Why is there such a hesitation? Because even in your revised history books, you still make note of the fact that slavery happened. Okay? So if you can do it for other groups of people that have been done wrong, and I'm not naming names, but you all know who I'm talking about, literally everyone, have been compensated for the things that have happened to their ancestors in history. The only time you'll ever hear people balk at paying is when it comes to Black people. Why is that? Like, what makes us so much or so less worthy of being made right or made whole? Why do we not deserve that? Like, it literally happened. And let's not pretend like all the things that slavery brought about in history have vanished or been erased once slavery was abolished. Because even today, people are still suffering from the unfair system that was set up to oppress us by oppressors, and both overtly and covertly. There are processes that run and function to block us or to keep us from moving through things as easily and swiftly as other groups of people. So, admitting all of that and acknowledging all of that, if you can go to the step of acknowledging the wrongs that have been done to Black people, why is it when it comes to apologizing in a formal way and compensating Black people, you all stop? You all feel like, okay, now that's too far. When honestly, if we're being honest, you really have not given us a proper apology in the first place. But not only did my ancestors suffer through chattel slavery, even up till today, we are still being oppressed and marginalized and put upon by the formal governmental systems in this country, in our workplaces, corporate systems, in our ability to gain home and living spaces. All of these things have these little loopholes and potholes and blind falls, blind curves and stuff set in them, baked right in to keep us behind or keep us at home or disadvantaged. Lord help my speech. You know what I'm saying? So let's not act like everything's good. Like, it wasn't like we flipped a switch and Jim Crow didn't work anymore, or people have elevated their minds immediately, like they got a software update and all of a sudden they're not raging bigots. Because this app will tell you and show you that they still exist and are unrepentant in their bigotry. So I just want to know, let me know in the comments what you think about that, because it drives me up a wall. Like, why? Why is it an issue? Please let me know. It's never an issue for any other group of people but us. And I want to know what makes us so much different than anyone else. Okay? Help me out. And don't get crazy, because I know you like to tussle, but guess what? I tussle too.
I'll call you to listen to the few stitches that I put together of the response that this lady got to her question that ended up to be a debate because of the hate comments that this guy received in the comment section. He really spilled the tea. He had nothing to hide. So listen carefully to what he has to say and also criticize. We are here to look at the pros and cons and weigh these ideas and see where can we shed light, what does need to be rectified, what are your viewpoints or your thoughts matters. Listen carefully to the few stitches. So it's a flow of thought because he was responding to comments as they were coming in.
Question: why is it that the only group of people, the only oppressed group of people that people balk at the idea of paying reparations to is Black people? And ultimately, I think that the answer is very simple. It comes down to a superiority complex, especially in relation to Black people. And the mere presence of Black people in this country reminds white-bodied European Americans that this country never stood for liberty and justice for all. It never stood for the things that we claim are our highest ideals. The way that Black people have been treated since they were brought here against their will is nothing short of savage. So that reminder is always there. And in order to maintain the moral superiority that we feel, that we're taught that we have, is to deny the experience of Black Americans in this country, which of course naturally leads us to never meaningfully entertain the idea of reparations.
In this next clip, he went on to prove the superiority complex that is often manifest when white people question the qualification of Black people.
Sorry, if I see a Black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the
you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the.
Oh, really? Then who are you? What do you believe, Charlie Kirk? Because you know what I think when I see a white guy of medium to low intelligence with a huge audience because he spews racist and other bigoted ideas? I think they've been handed everything they've ever had. Do you know how difficult it probably was for that Black pilot to get where they are? Don't project your shit onto them. Just because your path to fame and fortune was paved with gold doesn't mean that's how it's been for everybody else. You wrote, "Don't you see Dave has a white superiority complex, a savior complex, wanting to lead Black people and speak to them about their issue?" First, I'm always speaking to white-bodied European American individuals. I'm talking about our issues that we continue to project onto Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color, which are the very same issues that our ancestors created and that we perpetuate when we don't actively dismantle white supremacy culture within us and within our community. See, we wouldn't even be having this conversation about race if our European ancestors didn't create a hierarchical social system based on skin color. So I'm talking about that system and directing the conversation at my fellow white-bodied European Americans. You will never find me telling Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color how to think and behave. That, my friend, is what white supremacists do. This comment exhibits one of the many problems with using the wisdom of people who are being oppressed to talk down to people who are being oppressed when you yourself are not and have never experienced oppression. for whatever reason, you feel like you can tell them how to respond to their oppression. I just have to tell you that this is what it sounds like you're saying. I know that I've never experienced racism or really any kind of oppression in my life, but from what I've been told by Jesus, Gandhi, and Martin Luther King, you really shouldn't respond angrily towards your oppressor. I mean, if that's the way you want to come off, then more power to you. Personally, I'd rather try to understand why someone's angry than hurling moral platitudes on them that I've never had to adhere to myself. Of what white-bodied individuals fear if the proverbial tables would turn. They're afraid that if Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color somehow gained the majority or got the power that we've had this whole time, that they would treat us the way that we've treated them. And comments like this, expressions of fear like this, tell me that the white-bodied individuals that express those fears have no relationships with Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color. Because if they did, they would see that they're in no way as cruel and inhumane as we have been towards them, even though it would be justified.
So from the clip that she had posted, acknowledging racism, acknowledging that there was slavery isn't enough to pay for the damages caused by slavery, while people are still suffering of the same system. So to address the root cause of this problem, reparation will be important that it happens. I don't know what you think about this particular thing, but also one thing that I've seen that is so crucial here is people recognizing first the historical injustice and systemic discrimination that have led to significant racial wealth disparities. People don't even recognize that they are benefiting from an oppressive system, and they always find ways to defend that. So unless that is done, I don't think that there will be another way to dismantle racism. That was it about this video. I don't know what are your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and also share the video, comment, leave your thoughts kindly. I love interacting.